Okay, I'm going to run through some questions that you're going to see on the college algebra final. So let's take a look at this question 1. Find the domain of this rational function. Write your answer in interval notation. Okay, now if you remember, let's actually get some space here. I'm just going to kind of take away this line to give me some space. We'll come back and do it. Okay, so if you remember, you cannot divide by 0. So the denominator, x squared plus 4x minus 21 cannot be 0. Okay? If we factor that into x plus 7, x minus 3 cannot be 0. Can you see that here x cannot be negative 7 and here x cannot be positive 3? So how do we write that in interval notation? Here we go. Negative infinity to negative 7, and then negative 7 to positive 3, and then 3 to infinity. Okay, there you go. That is the answer. Right, let's just move back and do question number 2. Let's just erase all this, tapping away. And there she be. Okay, I don't really need some space for this one. This is going to be a little bit briefer. How to find the domain of this function here in question 2? Well, again, if you remember, you cannot square root negative numbers. In other words, anything inside the radical must be greater than or equal to 0. Okay, so that's the setup. So if I just take away 5 from both sides and then divide both sides by 2, I'll get that. Okay, x is greater than or equal to negative 5 over 2. Now in interval notation, that is this, with a bracket, negative 5 over 2 to infinity. There you go. That is the answer to question 2. Okay, question 3, the difference quotient. This always takes a little bit of time, so let me just, again, I'm just going to erase this space here. Give me some space. Come back to that one. Okay, so we have 4x squared minus 3x. Okay, now f of x plus h. This means replace the x with x plus h. So I will have this 4, not x, but x plus h. Again, that's squared. Minus 3. Again, instead of the x, I put x plus h. Okay, now also I have to subtract the original f of x, which of course is this. So I subtract 4x squared minus 3x. Okay, and it's all over h. But I'm just going to look at working at the numerator. So now then, you have to think about this x plus h squared. X plus h squared, you can think of it like this. Do not just square the x and square the h. It's this, x squared plus, now think about it, the outer is an hx, the inner is an hx, so that's 2 hx when I combine them, and the last is h squared. So that is what I get for x plus h squared. Okay, so if I'm going to write this in place of this up here, I'm going to get this 4x squared plus 2hx plus h squared minus, now I may as well do the distributive law on this here, negative 3 in front of the x plus h. So this is negative 3x, negative 3h. I'm still subtracting the original function, 4x squared minus 3x. Okay, so we now have to do the distributive law here. We have 4x squared plus 8hx plus 4h squared minus 3x minus 3h, again subtracting all this original function here. It's all over h, remember, still. But now, this is what's going to happen. The 4x squared here, you're going to minus the 4x squared here. The negative 3x here, think about subtracting a negative 3x. That's adding a 3x. So negative 3x plus 3x, again, that'll go. Now, the clue here is that notice that everything that I have left has an h in it. Okay, so remember, all this is still over h. Now, if I'm to factor an h out of the numerators left, I'll end up with this. H. So here, this is going to become 8x. This will just become 4h. And this here will become -3. Remember, this is still all over h. The h's cancel. So this 8x plus 4h minus 3 is the answer. Okay?